am I like haloed behind the dripping symbols there? You didn't even, was I? Sort of. Technology glitching.
Yeah.
HFR from the Matrix. Long road last week, Matt. Was not able to stream last week as the first 2 days was in nowhere near civilization. Lost at cribbage, Matt, on Saturday night, and the bet was whoever loses has to get in the water of the next water that the other person wants to put them in, right?
Right.
Well, mine happened to be a river coming right out of Glacier National Park. It's the coldest water I've ever been in. But I did it. It took me a solid half hour to get under the water, to get all the way in and dunk my head.
And then you had hypothermia and were almost dead.
I thought Greenpeace was going to show up because there was a hippo in cold water, and hippos don't like cold water.
Especially albino hippos.
Exactly. Albino. I got a nice tan going for it. Somehow my lighting is showing me very red.
Yeah.
I'm not suffering anaphylactic shock. No, don't worry about it. Anyway, Matt, a lot has gone on in the week since I've left, and most of it is maybe that bear market, bull market rally. Very interesting here.
Well, remember what I said, 2 months, August 15th. You want to look at the date when we peaked so far?
Right there.
Right there. So we laid it out for you. It's a timing trade, and everything is rolled over now.
Microsoft, here, let me share
as Apple, Google, they're all down big today, and we're continuing. We're down NASDAQ 13,770 down here to 12,9. So that's 800 points. That's down 6.5%, 7% right since that day. I don't know what
obviously
else to tell you.
Obviously, we need to just get used to major percentage moves.
Yeah.
And don't think that those aren't possible.
And again, oil and natural gas are going, everybody, I think, the oil trap is being set on the oil bears because, again, unless we get under 70, this isn't change. Nothing's really changing there. Natural gas made another new high today, and you're looking at, I think I read something today that they're pricing natural gas prices at like 500 a barrel. So natural gas,
the equivalent of BTU available.
Correct.
Right on. British thermal units for all you people.
Yeah, so that
uninformed.
So the way that natural gas is trading in Europe, or is going to come in the bill form for the retail, is that they're going to be paying prices like gasoline was 500 a barrel, or oil was 500.
Good luck with that. And I saw that.
So think about that, because we're trading at 87, so you're talking 7x from where we are, dude. It's insane.
It is insane.
People don't have, and we're again, we're in the end of summer, and they're talking about how dry and how hot it is. Well, just wait, in about a month, you can already feel the chill in the air here in the Northwest. I mean, the mornings
That's right. Yes, and there are already leaves turning in your home state of Michigan, especially up in the UP.
Oh yeah,
they're starting to roll. Anyway, let's talk some price discovery. Why don't you bring up the NASI? I haven't talked to you about it in a week, but you bring it up, and then I want to bring it up and share my thoughts on this developing weekly, especially weekly, monthly. I think are the two most important charts for long.
Well, we'll start. I want to start with like the big dogs. I want to start with Apple. Again, it rallied all the way up here to 170, almost 76 or so, and today down to 168. That's a big rollover, right? I mean, again, this was the 17th that peaked, and Google, again, big sell off here, 123.5 all the way down here to the 115 level, down to 2.5% today. And this, by the way, didn't get the rally that the Apple did. And then the other one I always like to look at, just kind of give us a view of tech and housing, is Airbnb. And we talked about this when it was 125, got up to 127 actually. now all the way down to 111. So again, yeah, you better get used to big moves, because that peaked on August 11th, and here we are, $111. All it did is get to the top of the value range, and now kind of running out of steam. Microsoft, kind of the same picture. Let's just run through, the big dogs here and see what we've done. This ran all the way back to 294, from 241 all the way up to 294, and whoosh, look at that thing. Now it's, looks like it wants to come back to mid 250s. So you got a long way to go there, and especially, again, and then the other one that I want to talk about is Myrna, because you talked about this a little bit. I mean, they're
Yeah, man. Let me just give that little background here. When you go to new towns that you haven't visited in a while, and you start experiencing their content, right? Their radio ads, their TV ads, what the news cycle looks like in local news networks, what's being advertised, and the one thing that jumped out at me here is the broadcast this morning on the news was talking about this new vaccine that the FAA has FDC. It should be the FAA that's clearing them, as all the pilots now are grounded.
Right.
Like the FDC clears it, and then the FAA has to clear it also. So we don't. Anyway, they were saying, they've approved the vaccine by whoever it was that had the old technology, and they stressed in the newscast, this is not an mRNA vaccine. This is the old tech. Like, why do you need to tell me that this is not the mRNA vaccine type if there aren't some sort of issues with the mRNA vaccine type? Like, those two things cannot be equal. So bring up Myrna again. And
yeah, well, we talked about it when it was pushing towards 200, that he had a great opportunity to sell again, and 197 back here to 143. So again, that's a 25% plus haircut, 30%.
Let me ask you a question. Does Moderna have the old technology available to sell?
No, I mean, the reality is, like, all these approvals for the kids' vaccines, and no kids are taking them. Parents are going, hell the F no, right? Nobody wants to take this stuff. They don't want to pump it in their kids anymore because they realize they've been duped. And today, Dr. Frodsky decides to announce that he's done at the end of the year. So I guess science is over again. Science, it's done.
Yeah,
science is resigning.
Following the science is no longer trending.
Science is resigning. Science has been resigned, and Frodsky's gonna, dude, there's so much stuff out there. I mean, it's really shocking the crossover. While you were gone, Humpty Dumpty got replaced on CNN. Brian Stelter, whatever that.
Yeah.
He's gone.
The elites are eating themselves, Matt. That's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me share for a second, because I just want to point out some nuance here on these charts. And whoa, technology on the fly.
And so, Bob, I think that Myrna will be trading 50s, 60s by the spring, and that's still.
Can you let me share, or am I not able to share?
I probably haven't done that.
Please let me share. Man, I'm turning red here as we speak.
Yeah,
I'm so
like
angry.
Rotten Tomato Club.
I got to work on the got to work on something. All right, here we go. SPOO continuation chart, and this is the weekly. Now we recaptured that up momentum, but negative slope. We actually, the last 3 weeks, rallied right to change the slope, which is positive, right? But only 3 weeks in, we cannot hold the momentum level, which is 41.67 this week, which is not, that's not great. But more importantly, I think, was when you fractal out to the monthly.
Yep.
The fact that it went and pinged that monthly average 43.34. We talked about the level of someplace that would logically go as you fractal out. And right now, I mean, obviously there's plenty of trading days left in the month to recapture that. But that is a terrible candle formation right now. And if this was an hourly, you would be like, I am selling every opportunity that I have, because it's rejected the level. Mm-hmm. and convincingly so. Not only that, if they can recapture low momentum on the monthly by the monthly close, 41.02, it's incredibly negative. That is incredibly negative, because it's going to keep the slope negative, and it's going to start kicking that lower collar, that Bollinger Band low.
Well, we could be there by the close today. We got 2 hours left, and we're down 2%. So that's only another.
I
1%.
just wanted to point that out, that you fractal in and fractal
Well,
out.
the thing is, okay, so we have the party in Jackson Hole this week, and we got Powell and all that noise. So I'm sure we'll get a rally tomorrow or the next day into that information. But yeah, it's a weird week.
All right, Matt, and let me just share this, and then we'll jump to the Ford chart, because Tracy, always a great follow. If you don't follow her around energy and common sense thought processes about what's actually happening in the fundamentals of the market, and she's just a great follow. Weird how this works. Inflation Reduction Act just passed a 7,500 EV tax credit. And Ford, they must have got the note mix, because they raised prices by 8,500 to capture the tax credit and another 1,000. You shared this with me. We talked about it, and then you said Ford had another headline today.
Yeah, Ford had a headline today that they were reducing employee counts by 3,000 so they could focus on the selling and the marketing of EVs. So apparently they're not selling EVs because they're cutting 3,000 jobs. How is that a positive news? Just like, that's what that headline said. I was just on Bloomberg. I was just like, okay, that's a weird one.
All right, you've talked about Ford plenty, but let's look at it quickly.
Yeah, I'll talk about it. Again, all the news lately has been EVs, and we'll talk about Tesla here a little bit also, because it again had another huge rally, Bob, as we've talked about. Hang on one second. So today, Ford is down another 5% on that bet, which is, here's what's interesting, because usually
we're not seeing it yet. Bring it up.
No, I know. But job cuts typically are such that markets typically will rally on that, because that's an expense line, right? So they're getting rid of that expense. But we had talked about this again, that I felt like Ford was a great short here up there in the teens, it's 16, 17. And sure enough, we're back here to 15. So I think the rollover begins here again. Nobody's buying new cars. I mean, there's no chips, there's no real,
well, I mean,
the $75,000 truck days, I think, are all the guys blowing diesel, here in Bend are slowing down, because you should see the inventory piling up here. Inventory's piling up, prices are falling, rentals are increasing as far as the number of units, and I'm just talking locally. Right. And you look at markets like Austin, you look at markets like Phoenix, and you look at markets like Las Vegas. The year-over-year inventory of housing in those markets is up for sale like almost 200% in those three markets. So all those hot markets, which Bend is a similar, we just don't have those same numbers, but we saw that same type of influx, and we're always a little bit behind. So those three, San Francisco's dropping big in prices, LA, West Coast, et cetera. It's just a matter of time. The consumer, the consumer debt is piled on over $1 trillion now, and credit card debt. At some point, Bob, this is going to
unravel.
And
again, and that's why I think the monthly chart is so important to pay attention to, because obviously it's a monthly chart. It takes time to develop and unravel.
Yeah.
But this is particularly bad price action if we continue to break through the end of the month and close back in that lower. It's like all of this buying, this whole rally, they're all going to get liquidated.
Yeah.
On further weakness. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and again,
the dog days of summer seem to be winding down here, and the market seems to be getting ready for me for what I would consider another major leg down.
I think the fall and the spring are going to be quite brutal for the equity markets, and I think a big sign of that, again, and we talked about this before you took off, but the bonds continue to get just wrecked. And let me just bring that up here real quick, but bonds down here to 138s on the 5-year note, and peaked again at 146. We talked about it, and just continues to go lower. It's now out of value even on the short term basis here. So it's kind of this area 137 and 3/4. If it doesn't hold here today, this thing it's got a world of hurt coming. So we still have it inverted on the interest rates. The 2 years are still paying more than the 10 years. The 5 years are paying more than the 10 years. So that's not a positive sign still long term. They're getting closer. It's getting a little bit closer, but 302 on the 10 year, not really, 334 on the 2 year. So, again, the 2 year money is much more paying off. It's that spread that's out there, Bob, between the 10 year and the mortgage rates, right? That's what you really have to watch. People don't talk about that a lot, but the mortgage rates are somewhere around, let's just call it 6, I don't know, 6.25. And yet the 10 year is only 302. So that's telling us that there's huge risk still to the interest rate market. And that just means that it's not a good time to be in the mortgage business. And it's, housing prices have to come down because of the mortgage rates are going through the roof and the demand is gone. So again, it moves very slowly. These real estate markets are like the evergreen, they're slow.
Right. All right. Last but not least for today, we talked about that 103.50 area. We never got there in the dollar index, and this is the monthly. And I just want you to consider the last chart that we looked at with the SPOOs and how that candle, it went and tested the monthly average on the candle and then just fell right away. This dollar index chart, this is a monthly. This is an incredibly explosive looking chart. Mm-hmm. And this month you got room. We take out last month's high. They're going to push this thing higher. Room to 113.48. Let's call it 113.5 this month. But understand, like, if this starts getting out of control, next month there's going to be room probably up to 118.
Well, we've been talking about 120, which was the most recent high. So it's going there. I think that'll be here again, fall, spring.
Right, exactly. My point is here on a monthly chart now, you're getting the available potential. That's what I call the standard deviation modeling. The available potential is getting to those areas where you brought up on a long-term profile, where the profile is showing you where it can go to.
Yeah.
And so now the market timing becomes more realistic, where you're like, oh, wow. Yeah, on a monthly now we got 113.5 this month. Next month it'll be about 118 for sure. By the fall in standard deviation modeling, that 120 level is going to be fully easily obtainable for the standard deviation modeling.
Yeah,
it's not like you're going to run into a collar or anything.
Well, and look at the euro fresh new lows here below par. So again, the things in Europe are not getting better, and you want to watch the trap. It's interesting because like even Ben locally said that travel was down versus 2019 this year, like the hotel stays and I think airport. So even though this was the recovery summer for tourists across the country, I think that's coming to an end. Credit cards have been maxed out, and nobody's going on a trip next summer. And I'm just saying,
next cover, the spring is going to be rife with gardening symposiums, like how to grow your own food.
So I think, I think what's happening in Europe is a mess, and it's going to get really messy, and there's just a lot of bad stuff happening there. And then,
hey, did I just hear Rudy?
No, that was Bitsy.
Doubled up on the dogs for the show.
Yep, doubled up.
Fantastic. All right, listen, I'm going to have.
Hey, let's talk a little sports. Week 3 of Hardknocks and the Lions. Week 2, I don't know if you watched the first couple. Great episodes. And like you said,
I got to tell you,
you're in Detroit. What's the spirit? Everybody's pumped up.
I'm telling you right now, I'm not sure there's been more anticipation for an overperforming season, which isn't doing much, right? Mm-hmm. They haven't set the bar very high the past decade.
No.
But these kids, they thought the Aiden Hutchinson thing was as cool a thing as they've ever seen.
Right.
But one of the young men pointed out, and I didn't realize this, when he really starts getting into it, right? And they start going bananas. Yeah. Somebody throws a T-shirt, right? And the guy in the front row left just catches it midstream with his left hand, and then starts waving the toss. It's fantastic. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah,
that type of thing can change. Listen, and they're very stoked about their third round choice defensive lineman who seems to be excelling in the preseason. Defense wins championships, and like to see a hard nose. Just think, when was the last time Detroit had just a shutdown defense?
Well, probably when like Spielman was playing at like
I mean, it's been a while. Yeah.
but yeah, like when he was there with the end of Barry Sanders there in the 90s, they were pretty good. They had some pretty good Ds. They had no offense back then, none whatsoever. They had Barry Sanders and some dumb white dude handed the ball off to him. So I can't even tell you who the quarterbacks were because they could not pass the ball, but nobody could stop Barry Sanders. So at least you had him dancing around. It was exciting to watch because the blocking was horrible too. But Barry would just jig, 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 jig.
Yeah, Barry just made up his own. It was always a backyard game that he dominated in.
Yeah. Well, and he had an appearance in last week's show, which was kind of fun. You know, they have he was down in the practice field talking about these guys, and you know, everybody's pretty hyped. Everybody's pretty hyped.
Yes, and I'll tell you, the town is hyped in anticipation, especially since they're undefeated right now in the not in the preseason,
No.
but
Yeah.
for the season they're still undefeated.
No, again, your Bears had a dominating game. I can't even remember who they played, but they just crushed them. It was like 30-10 or something. But who knows? I mean, Justin Fields played like 8 plays. I didn't really see much different. He has no blocking. He's just getting smashed every time. So good luck. And then Raycon, you're shut in. Your linebacker is not playing. He still wants a contract, and nobody signed him. So
And they haven't resolved that yet.
they have not resolved it.
What do you think about Tom Brady being in the Masked Singer? That's the rumor anyway, because he left 2 weeks not even in camp.
Yeah,
Personal leave.
who knows?
Tom Brady is going to be a Masked Singer. That's the.
I've never seen the show, and if Tom Brady's on it, I will not be watching the show. So.
All right, that's what we got, man. We got plenty of new subscribers to the free Market Vital site. Thank you all for joining. What else do we got? Anything else? I'll be back. Like I say, easy streaming this week, probably next week too.
We got new lows. We got new lows on WeWork. Let's just bring that up here. Let's talk. Let's talk about.
Is there any way we can get some WeWork money, for an offshoot of
Have you seen have you seen the Anne Hathaway movie version? I have not seen it yet. I hear it's kind of entertaining, but I started it and didn't really get into it. But 426 on its way to zero because nobody's going back to the office ever again. And
yeah, they are. I disagree with that. I think. Well, for sure, it's pretty. I think it's pretty similar to your want to get the jab, whether you want to be with people or not. I mean, I think there's a giant part of the population that would just rather sit in their room, home office.
Yep. Play video games.
And then there's a giant part that are just going bananas, like me and you, that want to get back onto the 18th floor. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So the Spoos are down 90 here for the day, 41.42. Again, down 200 points now from the high just a week ago. So, but again, with Powell and the Jackson Hole Fun Fest this week, I think we'll probably get a rally in the next couple of days. I would think. What do you think after this sell off? Another rally to sell into. So I don't know. That's kind of what I see.
I'm gonna hold on a second. I think I'm gonna disagree with you because here's my thought.
You don't think we're gonna?
No, here's my thought. My thought is that the euro chart looks so shitty. The dollar chart looks so strong.
Right.
The bonds like I don't see how, if those two things continue their trajectory, these stocks can muster a defense. I just don't see it.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at again. I said I'd talk about Tesla. Double top here at 940, already down 10%, 865. This is going to 500s, no doubt about it. It's going to 500s. So if you don't want to sell it here at 860, you're going to sell it at 500. So it's just up to you. So it's going lower.
Plenty of time to.
We haven't looked at Twitter in a while. Twitter really had to come back to the original bid of whatever $44 here. It looks like it's rolling over again. So all gets filled. I don't know. Again, I'm not trading that. I'm not involved in that whole thing, but still not a pretty story. Uber, we haven't looked at that in a while. That hit a top there at 33. It's rolling back over. Airlines, again, we talked about travel. nothing good going well there, right? You got high prices, and I don't think planes have been that full again this summer. So
I
even
don't know,
at these high
price that
prices,
you try to price out a plane ticket, it's ridiculous right
yeah,
now.
it is
It's like,
ridiculous right now. 100%.
I mean, honest to God, there's been a few family things that I would have never thought what I would have missed. But when you factor in all the costs, you're like, you know what? I'll send a nice card. I'm not going.
Right.
I'm not going.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what we got.
That's what we got. We got, what else we got going on? It's, we had Putin's main brain guy's daughter getting wasted.
Oh, dude.
That's a
Fucking
false
terrible.
flag war starter there. So, again, the stuff going on in Pakistan is real. Nobody's talking about it. Sri Lanka continues. South Africa is under duress big time right now. And again, this stuff doesn't seem to be finding its way to the mainstream at all in this country. Like, you talk to people about this, they're like, what are you talking about? So,
Dude, I was never more shocked about how siloed we all are, and how seemingly a story that, like, how could you not know this story? And people and pick it,
mhm,
have no idea
mhm.
about what you're even talking about.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to think that. And the amazing thing is the pushback that happens when finally enough people get fed the right information.
Yeah. And I don't think
But it's
we're
a giant challenge here. It's a giant challenge.
I don't think we're still quite there. We're getting close, but I don't know. Like, people still.
I mean, that's my thought. Like, if you're a logical thinking person and you were watching that Detroit newscast this morning, and they emphasized how these are not the mRNA vaccines, like, if you didn't know there was a problem with them, wouldn't you be like going, well, why do they want to use the old technology? Why are they stressing this so much? Wait a second, I got an mRNA vaccine. Wait a second.
Let's talk while you were gone. Also, there, I want to talk a little bit about a couple more things here. Bitcoin being one of them. We'll get to that following. But I don't know if you picked up on the fun that we had in Bed Bath and Beyond again last week. The meme boys got at it again, and this thing went crazy. It went from $4 all the way up here to 30. Look at that.
My goodness.
And look at it,
So
fully
crazy.
returned back to 9.5 already, Bob. I mean, it was a fun one. That was a good short there. That was a good time. So the good time, like, the idiots keep being idiots. So we got that. And then Bitcoin broke too. So again, we got over.
Well, we talked about it the Friday before I left. I had said that it just can't hold in if the rest of the stock market, if the other indexes turn south, all assets are one, and they still are all one.
Yeah, look at that.
And it's
Again,
not going to be able
August
to hold
14th.
up.
I mean, plus or minus 2 or 3 days around that August 15th number. I mean, we said you had to be selling into it. So if you've been selling the last 10 days or so, you're in good shape. And pretty much again, to your point, even gold, Bob, is down another $30 or so today. I think it's down to 1740. It hit. Let's just look at that real quick. And if I can find it here.
Where's Lee in the production truck? Let's go.
But gold is, again, sucked them all in up here at 1825, and now it's back down to 1750, and not looking good. This is not a pretty. Nothing continues to change on that chart for me, but again, there's no safety in gold, and there's no safety in Bitcoin. All assets are one. All assets are one. And as I said earlier, I think crude is not, that's Colgate, but I just don't see crude really breaking. I don't see it breaking below $70-$75. So and this 86, 87 level keeps holding. So that's kind of, let me just pull this up on a shorter term chart, but this is chopping around here, but it doesn't seem to be, again, this 85, 86 level keeps holding. And then, like, this today, it got down to 86s and just ratcheted all the way back up to 90 real fast. So that's the intraday today. Look at this move again. And it's been some violence over the last few days. So it seems to be finding a bottom for me, because we were diving here and it stopped, and the market's so bullish or bearish that you would think everything would sell off. So why is oil? Because there's something going on. There's something else, again, geopolitically, that we're not aware of right now. And that's why, like, when I see things like this, when everything's going down, gold, Bitcoin and oil, but the dollar's up and the oil's up. So that's what's important. We're still a petrodollar economy, right? Still today. So all this inflation reduction bullshit, it's bullshit. And, I think gas will be probably in a year or so, we'll be back, when it is back below $2 a gallon, then the market's at a bottom. But again, we're still, here.
Dude,
on the
we're
West
so
Coast.
early in a cycle.
Mhm.
And again, let's see how the month plays out, because if the Fed's trading it and wants to kick save it, they gotta defend at the end of the month.
Yeah. But again, there's some big moves coming in oil. Like if you're trading this, you should be aware, when it's been tradable. I mean, that's a $5, $5.50 range just between Friday and this morning. And then we're right back into the meat of it. So it's really, this magnet is really strong in here. And, I think the more time that we hold this bottom, the more powerful this move is going to come to the upside again, whenever that geopolitical stuff starts presenting itself to the masses, then they'll start chasing this again. And I think it'll, again, we both think 160, 240 this winter. Still.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's what we got. Please visit us, marketvitals.io. Please share, retweet, copy, paste the broadcast far and wide. And visit at marketvitals.io. Be disciplined, trade disciplined, mind the moat, know the value range, know the point of control. What else, Matt? Give me one more.
I mean, know where the weak hands are and the strong hands are. Who's in control of that market at any time? That's the question you have to be asking yourself. Who is in control of your time framed market that you are trying to behave and trade through?
I like it the way that how are you behaving in the market? Yeah. Sometimes I behave very angrily and not.
Well, it's a very, it's interesting. I've been short this morning. I got short on the breakdown of 13:020, so not even early, but when we broke early, I got short, and we're down 100 points on the NASDAQ. So it's taken 4.5 hours just to get 100 points. So this isn't a swift kick in the balls type move today. It's very mechanical, slow, summer trading. So take your 100 points here and move on to the next trade. I do think we're going to probably rally a little bit the next few days and into the.
All right.
And we'll see.
I'm the don't.
I just look at, we're down 800 points on the NASDAQ and we're down 200 points in the SPOOs. I think we'll just get a little counter rally here. And now that's just the game within the game, right?
Bingo.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lee. Oh, Lee's not here.
Lee's not there.